Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. We have a bag of very interesting questions this week, as every week, and I'm sure you're going to learn something new. So stay with me as we go into the very first question. And this is from Carol. I fear I am destined not to have lasting romantic partnerships. I still laugh about your characterization of my bitch gate 18. It's quite prominent in my chart. I have an unconscious gate 19 line 6 in my Mars, in brackets the Fool on the Hill. Yes, the gate of the recluse. Conscious Mars in 42-1, finishing. Unconscious Venus 61-1, mental, not very romantic, psychosis. Conscious Venus 24-3, more mental mind than heart. Moon in gate 18-6, the B gate, LOL, disappointment, trying to make sex a cathedral experience. Finally, unconscious Earth in 39-1, the loner and provoker, henpecker, question mark. This crazy mix does not look promising to me. I mean, I'm not sure I would even want to be with my own self, half chuckle. Are there any redeeming aspects of this in the world of long-lasting romance? Humor as well as wisdom and perspective will all be appreciated. Well, Carol, you know, there are keynotes in the design, and then there are all kinds of things that are not keynotes, that are misunderstandings. So I'm not sure where you're getting your information from. And, you know, it does concern me that there is a lot of stuff out there on human design with people's own personal interpretations. And my advice is not take them very seriously and to find a good source. It's one of the reasons why I'm out here every week to try and put the record straight. Indeed, it's one of the reasons why I'm coming back to do professional analyst training later on this year. So the first thing is, you know, the interpretation as something really not to take seriously. The 18 that you say is quite prominent in your chart. I don't know exactly where it is because I haven't seen your chart, but basically, you know, it is a gate that can really be a bitch to you, criticize you, go, well, you know, it's all hopeless and I'm a bad person and I'm no good and all the rest of it because I'm not perfect. But, you know, you don't want to take that seriously. It's a critical awareness for the outside. And when you begin to take it seriously and look at all the things that could possibly be wrong with you, then you get to this point of fearing that you'll never have a lasting relationship, which is not true, which is not true. If you do have the 18 in the sun, then you are designed to fulfill your life through relating and relationships through the quarter of duality. But as I said, I haven't seen your chart, so I don't know exactly how prominent it is. But I can perhaps reinterpret through keynotes what you've said about the gates in the chart regarding relationships. I mean, basically, you know, the 18 line 6 is Buddhahood. You know, it's there to have the energy to move forward so that we don't get stuck, so we don't get stagnant. So there's an ongoing critical awareness and a move towards a better future. So it's not a negative thing. In fact, out of all the 18th gate, all the 18th lines, you know, it's one of the most positive. It's not a negative in that sense. The 19-6, the Fool on the Hill, the gate of being a recluse. I mean, I've had a relationship with someone who had that gate and line, and it was a very happy relationship, you know, and they could be reclusive. It's a part of your nature to need to be alone. That doesn't mean you can't have really a fulfilling relationship. It's not a denier of relationship, not at all. It's a very wise line, actually, and especially in that gate. The 42, you say, is a gate of finishing. Well, it is a gate of finishing. But it's also a gate of process. It's also a gate of investigating how things can be used, how the sacral energy can be used in a better way, how to diversify. It's a line of diversification where you can use surplus resources to bring out something else, to bring the cycle forward, to be better prepared when you take on another cycle from the resources that you use well. So it's not a negative either. In fact, it's damn useful. The 61-1, you say, mental, not romantic. I beg to differ. And the 24 that you've got as well, that you're saying mental, mind, not heart. These preconceptions we have about romance, and it all has to be the heart, and it's like, where's the heart and all the rest of it? Like, this is homogenized. The 61-24 is an amazingly inspiring mind. It thinks outside the box. It's quicker than most channels in that sense. It's amazing. And other individuals will enjoy it very often. I mean, it's quirky. It is a bit crazy, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be a psychotic. It's like, it's inspiration. I mean, Ra had it. It was through the 61 line 1 that we get human design. Well, and the 43, 23 in the third line and other things that he has, but it's a source gate. It's a wonderful thing to have, and you've got the whole channel. So other individuals will really love that. And there are different types of love and different types of relationship. And it depends on the designs of the two people. But with individuality, it is highly romantic. It is highly romantic and a bit crazy and wonderful. If you're with another individual, they're going to enjoy it. So that doesn't stop you having a really good relationship. And the 39-1, yes, it's a gate of provocation. It's in the first line, though. It's there in the line of disengagement, to avoid certain confrontations, certain obstacles, and go, okay, I'm just going to walk out the door. And yes, if it's in an open route, you will probably walk out the door, and that might be an incorrect thing or not. Either way, it's temporary. It's about then coming back and re-engaging. Have to go deeper before you take on the obstacle. It's not it's not an obstacle. It's not necessarily a henpecker. Could be a button pusher, but then it's a button pusher to get to the romantic spirit in the 55. So that kind of looks to romance. It's part of a romantic stream. Again, individual. So yeah, I answered your question here for people to see that, you can get the whole wrong idea about your chart based on people that don't know what they're talking about, and label yourself in a way that is incorrect and believe that fiction. And I don't want you to do that. It's not necessary. You just have to go further in and stay with the real source material, and you will see great beauty in your chart, and a great openness to be able to connect with someone deeply. It may not be in the traditional fashion of what people call normal relationships, but that's good. A unique relationship where meeting can really happen. You can share the inspiration. You can, I don't know what type you are, but if you're a projector, to help someone to complete what they have to do and end up with surplus to then reinvest or put into new things. It's a great gate to have open if you're not trying to finish things yourself all the time. It all comes down to being correct for yourself, making the correct decisions. Not saying it's all hopeless before you really engage in the entire experiment for a period of years, and just to let that beauty and let that real truth come out of you. So that's what I have to say to you. No, your chart does not preclude you from having a really fruitful relationship. Not at all. And the next question is from Mrs. M9266. And their question is, Dear Richard, what does it say about one's life if their personality sun is in detriment? Does it mean they are doomed, since this makes 70% of their personality? How do you work with it? It feels like working with a defective machine. Okay, so again, a similar thing, that we see something that we regard as being negative, and a reason for us to hate ourselves, to think there's something wrong with ourselves. And it's not that. It's not that in all the comparisons with everyone else to go, oh, well, look, I've got it in detriment, therefore there's something wrong with me. No, it's a propensity. The detriments are a propensity. They're fixed in that propensity. And I don't know what the sun gate is, so I can't comment specifically. But in the real trainings and in the real understanding of human design, the detriments, the downward arrow is white. The upward arrow, the exaltation, is black. You know, if it's fixed in the down arrow, that whiteness is there for you to see. It can be a really good understanding of yourself. You know, it's fixed in that propensity. Doesn't mean that you have to fall into that all the time. Once you understand it, once you get it, once you shine light on the fact that whatever that detriment is, it's a propensity, you don't have to go along with it. You can wake up to it. Where there are detriments, it means that we have to really work on that detriment this life. We have to see that it's in us. We have to come to terms with it. We have to see that it's not going to make our decisions. We know we make our decisions through strategy and authority. And it's certainly not to label yourself as defective. Not at all. In fact, I think having a detriment in the sun, you know, really pinpoints whatever that issue is for you to work with in this life and overcome it. I mean, it must be part of what this life is about. So it's not to be taken as a fixed negative, and there's nothing that can be done. Not at all. You know, human design is for us to accept ourselves, and from that, everything begins to smooth out. And the detriment doesn't have to be such a big issue once you're aware of it. And you must be aware of it because it's in the personality sun. So look into it, see it coming out, back away from making it an issue. And you'll see, you know, detriments are white. They are an opportunity to overcome something perhaps that hadn't been dealt with in previous times, in previous lives. So that's my answer to you. And our next question is from Weebybush. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And the question is, hi, Richard, those were interesting themes. Thank you, and all the ones asking questions. Yes, thank you, all the ones asking questions. My daughter is a reflector with digestion direct light. Doesn't it help to use daylight lamps in the house? A little bit, question mark. We live in the very north of Germany with a long, dark winter. We are experimenting with it. What is your experience? Lots of sun for you. Wiebig. Okay, thank you for the question. And yes, of course, I'm an investigator. And yes, of course, I have looked into this. And yes, I went out and I got daylight bulbs myself, thinking that would be the best thing to do. It does kind of make sense. However, being a first line, one, you know, keeps on digging. And we're dealing mainly with LED lights, and LED lights aren't particularly healthy. So in my investigations, and I'm not recommending anything, it's for each one of you to experiment in your own way with what comes to you in trying to move towards better health and better balance. But in my investigations, initially, I went out and got the daylight bulbs, knowing that they were LED, but not knowing what else to do. The effect of the blue light from computers and from those bulbs, I began to become aware through investigation and through discussion that they perhaps were not the best thing. So I then progressed to block blue light. Let's see if you can see that block blue light. So this company I went to, and they change, you can change them from white light to yellow light. Now I went on that investigation. I went as far as understanding that in the as the day goes on, it can be very useful to use these yellow glasses, and it really feels wonderful, you know, as I put them on. I go, oh, you know, that's good, you know, not too sharp. The full daylight are with the LEDs are pretty bright. Later on in the evening, I've then gone to experiment with these, which are kind of a red light, which suits the evening. And it does, you know, it changes the way your body is when you put them on. If you put them on at the right time, there's a So it's really what gives you that that comfortableness, that fittingness in the experiments of what you use. And I'm not going to recommend any of the things that I've shown you. I'm just saying I am working through experimenting with many different things. And as a light eater myself, I have been trying these other sides as well and found them to be beneficial. The block blue light, that you can flip the switch and it goes from the brightest light, supposedly mimicking sunlight, to the yellow light later on. You just flip the switch. That's very convenient, and I have found that to be better. But there again, LEDs, if what's coming out of them, I don't like them. You know, I would much prefer to be back with the old bulbs that we used, that were much healthier for human beings. So we have to deal with the current situation. And yes, I know what it is to be to struggle through the winter. It's always a tough time for me if I'm in England. And it's always much better for me if I can get away to the sun during that time, which I rarely can. But when I do, it really makes a difference. So that's my answer to you. Keep investigating, have a look at the two things that I've pointed out to you, see what you make of them, look at the reviews, and have a go yourself and see what you find. But happy to share my experiments with you. Thank you for the question. Our next question is from Stacy, and she asks, "Hi, Richard. I have a question about my incarnation cross and how it affects my Chiron return. I am an extremely hermity 6-2 triple split manifesting generator with 8 out of 9 centers defined. My ego is undefined with no hanging gates. Last year was the year of my Chiron return and my time to come off the roof. I've been feeling a lot of pressure from HD information I have read to go out into the world and come off the roof, but I have no desire to do so. And quite frankly, I don't know how or what it would look like for me. My incarnation cross is the left angle cross of separation, 35.5 and 22.47. And I'm wondering if this has something to do with my reluctance to go out in the world. It feels as though my 6-2 profile and my incarnation cross make me want to stay separate from the world. I am quite happy in my own little bubble, doing my hobbies and entertaining myself. It doesn't help that I'm in a 9-0 relationship with my husband. How do I find a way to come off the roof while still honoring my incarnation cross and the Hermit sign of my profile? Any pointers would be greatly appreciated." Okay, Stacy, so thank you for the question. And again, in the same themes as we've been looking at the first two questions, it's not about you trying to force yourself into anything. Human design is quite the opposite. It's about accepting your nature. And yes, it sounds like you are a 6-2 hermity being that is happy being self-motivated. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to force yourself off the roof. How would you do that? You know, you can only make decisions according to your strategy and authority. And since you're a manifesting generator triple split, You know, it's going to have to be through the response and through the feeding in to the waves over time. It's not for you to know until it's time to know. It's not, you can't do anything about it until there's a strong response to something, and then you feel into it and go, yeah, I'm going to do that. So you have to wait. You will come off the roof, whether you like it or not. You will be pushed off the roof if necessary. In fact, I know a 4/6 who literally fell off a ladder at her Chiron. So it's not like you have any choice. Just being honest here, it's not like you have any choice, and it's not like you have to do something because of human design information. Let that one go. Let that one go. It will already begin to happen, and it's not something that you have to willfully make happen. Remember, the open will is the only completely open center in you. So it's when you think, well, what do I do? How can I willfully get myself on the right path? Chill, not your job, not your job. Don't fall for that one. Just relax and see what happens. Chiron will move you in its own way at its time, and you will deal with it. And there's no hurry. Change is already around you. You know, you already know that. So just let it be. You be yourself and see what happens. That's my answer. So our next question is from KW Mizo Soprano. And the question is, I'm a manifestor, 2 channels, 3740 and 3536. So community and transitoriness. But my design side is a reflector, and I'm also a reflector in the dream rave. So again, it's a terminology error. You're not a reflector in the design side of you. You are open in the design side of you. There is no fixed channel in the design side, which will have an effect on the body in the way that the body can feel vulnerable when around strong energies or whatever. There's no anchor in the body, but that can be an advantage in many ways. I've seen that to be an advantage. So you're not a reflector, okay? You're a manifestor. You're a manifestor. The design side is part of the totality of what you are. It is not another type that you are, as well as being a manifestor. So, you know, I don't know where this misinformation is coming from in human design, but I would strongly advise you drop thinking of it like that and just see that your type is your type. And the design side being so open, you know, will have its consequences, both positive and negative. It doesn't set you as another type. So this entire video, really, or a lot of it, has been about me trying to correct some of the misinterpretations and the misuse of the information. Stay with the source. It's really just a plea from me to stay with source information and not to believe everything that people are putting out there on human design, because from what I'm hearing, a lot of it is absolute nonsense. So that's what I would say. And I hope I got that message across. And I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.